Okay, so it is 4:35, and I do want to honor everyone's time. So we'll go ahead and get started. I'm sure more people will join as time comes. So hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. Thanks so much for joining us on this beautiful afternoon. And I know that a lot of people have finished classes today, and we're entering last stretch for finals and people are busy, but nonetheless, we appreciate everyone's attendance for this meaningful celebration. So just to introduce myself very quickly, my name is Heji Sa, and I'm the student panelist for today. I'm a senior studying development sociology, and I had the amazing opportunity to hear the stories of the Civic Fellows through our capstone course. So I'm very honored to be facilitating today's discussion. But without further ado, I do want to give the stage to our fellows. So starting from Jessica, if you want to just give us a quick introduction to who you are and what you do.
Hi, I'm Jessica Belgrave. I'm actually from Tompkins County here in Elmira, New York. I started and founded Mothers Helping Mothers of Elmira here. It was a way of mothers getting together to support one another. And once we started supporting one another, we moved out into the community and started working on different issues that we had in the community as mothers and as women. And once that got started, it really, we stood up and did marches and signed people up for voting, and we helped with housing and many different issues. So that's what we did here in Elmira.
Perfect, thank you. Caleb, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure, I'm Caleb Thomas, and I help coordinate mural projects in Ithaca, thinking about our cultural cityscape and just, shifting what our community looks like with we've been involved with about 200 murals over the last 12 years. So hitting this town by storm with the arts, and particularly thinking about artists of color and working class folks and people that are underemployed. Right now doing some great projects with people that are incarcerated at McCormick. That's what I love to do.
Great. And last but not least, Jamila.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. My name is Jamila Walida Simon. I am Jamila Walida of House of Simon. I'm the first of her name. I'm the raiser of future leaders. I'm the keepers of everyone's voluntold shit, although now I'm the keeper of my own stuff. I'm the TT slayer and the best friend of all of my nieces and nephews, and the expert of efficiency. I'm the slayer of one-liners and the breaker of rules, and the queen of Wakanda, and now the queen of Groton. I'm the queen of the Simon dynasty. I serve as a community activist, and it is such a pleasure to be here with all of you.
Great, thank you. We'll definitely get a chance to have more in-depth conversations about the individual stories of everyone in our discussion today. But before that, I did want to present a quick video that the students prepared for today's event.
What the book means to me personally is completion. Completion, that something I started it, I accomplished it, and it's coming into a completion.
It's an opportunity to showcase the brilliance of community, right? That there are a lot of life experiences that allow us to also be educators to students, but also to our community.
One of the beautiful parts about being the Civic Leaders Fellowship is about connecting with students. Cornell, working with classes and individuals, meeting with students, collaborating.
And that it can be passed on. And I wanted to be a part of it because I want to make sure that I'm doing all that I can do to be a part of what I want to see in the world. I know that sounds cliche, but I mean, some of this stuff you really have to step into it and make it real. And I think we all done that.
what struck me about the interviews and the stories as they're written in the book is the very like personal narrative way that they're written, and how they represent us and encompass us as, you know, the totality of our personhoods and not just what we've done or what we've achieved, which I think is also a very important distinguishing feature of the Cornell Civic Leaders Fellowship itself.
What we do in this book is unpack a bit of that and create a bird's eye view for folks to be able to lean into how we manifest ourselves in community and how we came to be. And also almost like a look ahead as to what you can expect from us as we move forward. And so we're presenting our stories as almost like material for educators, for community organizers, for community members to sit at the feet of our stories and be able to listen in.
Yeah, great. So just wanted to say a big thank you to the student teams that worked to put this video together. I do think we have one more fellow who joined us in the meantime. Monica, if you want to quickly introduce yourself and like what you do.
Hello, everyone. Sorry, my hair is messy, so I don't know how many people there. My name is Monica Arambulo, and I'm from Ecuador, South America. I am part of this group of the leaders, and I did the intergeneration program, which was working with the seniors. And I enjoy a lot. Since I have been doing practically all my life, I did this since I was a kid. I grew up with my grandmother, and I'm very used to it. I love being around seniors. I mean, all ages. I worked for the school district for many years as a teacher's aide, and I love children. I love seniors. I love all kinds of people. So I enjoy it so much. And I don't know if you get to hear. I came in a little late just because my computer was not working. But I'm very happy that this program is going this far. I'm very excited, and I hope people get excited about it, because this program is all what we have been doing is to encourage people, to inspire other people, to inspire all the generations and all people from all over the world if it's possible. As you know, I'm hoping that this can get to everyone, because humanity, we need each other, especially this time of the year, this time of the life. We need to encourage each other, and we need to be touch other people's heart, other people's conscience about what is happening, how we can help each other for the good of the humanity.
Great, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Miss Vivi, do you want to introduce yourself really quickly?
Yeah, I'm Phoebe Brown. I'm work for Alliance of Families for Justice, and I do a whole lot of other stuff around the community. Yeah, and I'm glad to be a part of this.
Perfect. Oh, I think we have one more fellow coming in. I don't know if he's connected.
Damon. Hey, Damon, can you hear us and see us?
I think he's still connecting. Okay, maybe we can wait just a little bit, but yeah, so we got to hear very briefly about what this book signifies and what it means to each of the community leaders. I guess to kind of start off our roundtable discussion, I kind of wanted to ask the fellows present today, what does the completion and publication of this book mean to you?
So we can go in any order?
Yeah.
What the book means to me is an opportunity to begin to allow communities to understand that they have educators in their community. That's real important for me. It's real important for me to let others know that a lot of the work that we do in the community through education, educating our communities, we don't get paid what professors get. You know, we don't get the students that come to the universities until their fourth, when it's time for them to leave. So hopefully this book can encourage them to get into the community sooner than later, because there's a lot of education that you get in the community that you won't get on the campus, right? And so it always boggles my mind that they wait so long to come down and why they're not introduced. So I'm really glad that this program started with Scott and Amy, and they use the Civic Fellow. But most importantly is to remember always that we have educated. And so I want us to be valued the way that they value professors. I want people to honor us, and I don't want this to be just for Ithaca. I want to make sure that it's spread around to other universities. I really want people to see the value of community. You know, we thank God we have the Cornell Civic Fellows, but I want people to know that we just don't come as leaders because of the Civic Fellows. We're already leaders in our own right, and we do this work consistently, every day, morning to night. So yeah, that's for me.
I can jump in. I certainly echo Miss Phoebe's wonderful sentiments. Just because you have letters behind your name doesn't mean that you're actually doing the work. And I think that in this community and a lot of communities, we have respectability politics that don't amount to much. And so as I shared in the video, I want people to sit at the feet of our stories and know that they're unfinished, right? They're going to continue to unfold, but there's an incredible amount that you can learn from the stories, right? Stories serve as tools. They serve as ways to help us to move into action, right? And they create opportunities for us to reframe, right, what we see. So what we see here in this town is the Ivy League Tower. And there are certainly times when students can spill off the hill and into community. And community is here to meet them and greet them and welcome them, right? So that's that opportunity. And within our school districts and certainly around the country, we're hoping that young people will read these stories and be inspired, and that they'll dream about a future and live into a future that is pretty grand, right? There's some amazing stories in this book, and I'm really happy to be a part of that as well.
Well, what it means to me is that I learned a long time ago in business, if it's not documented, it didn't happen. So this is the way that the work that we presented is documented. And also that the work we did served as an example to others that want to pick this work up and continue with it. They can see that we pour sweat and tears into this work. And as Phoebe said, we don't get paid for this work. We're running off of pure passion and just the need to want to help others. And I hope someone else is ready to pick up from where we left off or where we're leaving off and continue this work, because one person cannot do this. We have to pass it on to someone. So thank you for documenting everything.
Yeah, I'm really grateful for the Civic Fellows program, that it bridges the university and community with each other. Because yeah, I grew up in Ithaca, and I grew up right by College Town, just off of Cornell campus. And I honestly grew up hating Cornell. I saw some of the it seemed like there was a lot of, it being a privileged institution where people were spending so much money, but I saw some of just a lot of waste. And I wish, I was just, for so much as an educational institution, what it could be, as a community in terms of investing that resource into bettering the world. And so I think it's a good I remember as a college student, I felt very isolated amongst 18 to 22-year-olds, segregated off, and it did not feel like a real world experience. And I think this it's an attempt to bridge relationships, to get people some, connection with the real world about, with decisions people want to make on the Hill, that it can be helpful for us to connect with students and have students as a resource for us too, to work together.
Monica, did you want to add something?
Yes, of course. For me, it's also very important because hopefully this program doesn't, well, it does, hopefully it exists, but let me see how can I put it. We can give like example for other people in the other communities around the country that it is possible to do this happen, and also they have their voice is very important for the community to attract other people, young people, students from universities and colleges, but also for the students of the, to find the opportunity, to find the encouragement, they can also be participate, be part of the community. And they're welcome to the community most of the time. I'm sure community wants students to be there and work for them, because we are going to be helping each other, a community helping the students to learn. And also students will learn from the community what they can do, because you as a student, you are just new. A lot of you came from home and don't have much experience, be able to communicate and have how, attract people. I don't know what the word is. Be able to become friends with the community, because some of the students do not know how to do it. But if we being encouraged, or they find someone they can feel close to it, they will be able or wanted it to work with it. And that way it will work for both groups, for students and for community people, from community leaders especially. But I think it's for especially for in my experience, I didn't think I was going to be able to do that, because I'm kind of shy. But as I get to know the students, because I love people, I became close to them, and I like to be. I feel younger when I'm around students, around young people, because they give us energy, but also we learn from them. And I'm sure you guys learn so much from us. You will, and you are learning from us in different way. And everyone has the talent, and you will learn the talent for each person, because everybody has something to share, I think.
Yeah, I think one of the main things that we talked about even in our class is that we are guests of this community, and that it's really important to make sure that we are highlighting the voices around us that are building this community up and actually really participating deeply in building this community. So that's been a big focus in our capstone course. I think on the same sentiment that a lot of the responses right now. The next question is, do you believe that there is a disconnect between current students and community involvement? And if so, how can we encourage the younger generation students to become effective members of the community? And what does that look like?
I will jump right in. So I'm a PhD student in global development through the employee degree program, but I also earned my master's at Cornell. And something fabulous that happened during that time was that I received a fellowship that allowed me not to work. And so instead, what I did was I went right to work in community, right? I couldn't hold a physical job, but I had the means in order to be able to focus on my studies, which meant that freed up some mental space, and that freed up some capacity for me to be able to lend my skills in community. What I did was I went to the Greater Ithaca Activity Center, and I met with the then executive director, and I said, I would love to work with young people in science or mathematics. Can you find a spot for me? And she did. I began working on Friday nights with the preteens there. And that was my first introduction to community, right? I lived in community. And so it was really important for those young people to see me in Wegmans, right? Hanging out in the neighborhood, walking home after program. And so there's a space for folks. You just have to be able to look for it. I know that the Cornell Public Service Center has served as a connector for students to be able to find their space within community. But I think that as folks head off to receive their education, what a beautiful gift to be able to give something back to the community where they're being educated, and that should come as a birthright, right? As a part of your education, and not just something that's an afterthought as a part of an engaged initiative in a single class that takes place for the duration of one semester. That should take place for the duration of your education.
Well, I'll jump in. There is a disconnect because we aren't taught as going through the education system the importance of community. We're taught get to college, get a degree, and then go back out there. You're not really taught from kindergarten on that you have the multitude of education in your community. So it's a systemic thing. They're not going to tell us that we have the most intelligent people in our community, right? So teaching people from young that the only education is not getting to one of the Ivy League colleges that keep you up on the hill, that don't teach you, that teach you to extract from communities, not listen to communities. So that's why this book is very important. We come from, so for me, as a Black person, I come from a history of storytelling. Other than that, our history would be dead. Because of storytelling passed down from generation to generations, we've been able to hold on to some truths that were taken from us. So my first actual intelligent learning happened in Mount Morris Park. And there was a group of older Black men talking about Abraham Lincoln didn't free us because he loved us. That was pivotal for me to start trying to open my mind to more things. This didn't happen in school because in the public school that I went to, all the teachers were white, right? So what I'm saying is there's a disconnect between college students and communities because they're taught to extract from communities, not to learn from communities. This book will help them to learn from communities. That's it.
Well, I can't speak specifically of you guys' county, but I can speak for, there's a large college here, Elmira College. There's a disconnect in our community as well. And I believe the school system tries to protect the students from the community. So they have the police guarding the schools and they have the separation from the community and the kids only allowed to go but so far. Well, the problem with that is the same bubble you put around them not to get out, people can't get in. So there's no learning your community, there's no understanding your community. So when you graduate and you go to work in the communities, you have no idea about those very communities you're working in, when this is an opportunity to get to know your community as a student and know and learn your bedside manner and different things you need to learn about the community so you can do well out in your field. I'm in a field of sociology. I came here to Elmira by way of Newark, New Jersey. And because of my way of learning, I was able to see what's around me without being a part of it. And then I stepped into it to try to correct it as best I can. And I believe as students, you guys have the knowledge, the know-how, the technology and resources to step into these communities that you are in and be a part of the change, and then move on to your life and take those different experiences with you. So I believe that's the way to correct that problem. And it's not just one area. I believe it's happening everywhere. I understand there's a liability part to it. And as a parent who sent my daughter off to college, there is this small fear, but fear is just that not knowing. So once we educate ourselves and know, then we can step into it. But you can't put that bubble around the students because no one able to get in and no one's able to get out.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Caleb, Monica, anyone else want to add to this question?
Monica, do you want to jump in? I don't know. I feel like I said my piece about just, yeah, my disappointment in Cornell over the years and grateful. I'll say again, like other people have said as well, grateful for Scott and Amy and the students that take this class year after year, that have a care to connect with people off the hill, and yeah, trying to work to make our communities better there, to learn, to get a good education.
Monica, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, sorry, I was talking and I didn't realize the microphone was off.
You're totally fine.
Sorry, can you repeat again just a little bit the question, because I've been talking to everyone.
Yeah, so the question was if you thought that there was a disconnect between current students and community involvement, and then how we can encourage younger generation students to become effective members of the community.
Yes, I definitely think I agree with all my my other colleagues about there is a disconnection, and especially this time of this time of life when we had this pandemic, it's even getting worse. Mm-hmm. So hoping that even though we it's a distance between students and community because of the pandemic, we still have it in the student heart. They're willing to wanted to be involved with the community and be able to help and also more encourage the students to the new generation, like kids who are in the elementary school, high school, that it is possible to be part of the the movement, and also being part of improving your improving neighborhood. If you improve your experience, get more experience about what do you want to do in the future. Maybe your future is being someone who want to be a leader somewhere or something like that. And I think I answer the two questions at once, I think, by saying this. Yeah, I think it's very hard for students to get involved, but you have to just be feel like a little bit not so afraid of being get close to community, or find someone who knows people in the community, and so they can introduce you and talk to you more about it, the experience and what you can do about it. And I think that would help a lot.
Yeah, these were all so insightful. Thank you so much for sharing, everyone. I think something that we really stressed in our class is that community is like a lot deeper than just a group of people coming together. It requires true listening, dialogue, support, and empowerment. And I think that that's really cultivated through the power of stories. That's another thing that we talked about in our capstone course, is that, we learn that stories have value and power. I know, Phoebe, you talked about how personally for you and historically, stories have continued your legacy. I just wanted to ask, were there any stories that you have heard, witnessed, or experienced in your past that inspired you to become engaged with the community and the issues that you're currently working on? And this is to everyone also.
Well, what inspired me as a child, I was watching people who looked like me getting hosed down, dogs sicked on them, and arrested, right? I was around the civil rights era. And so watching people who look like me being oppressed as a little girl inspired me to want to do something different. And I came from a community, I grew up in Harlem, that was doing different, right? We took care of each other. we made sure each other survived because we couldn't thrive. So the stories that I heard from like our elders, so what they taught us was community. Like I lived in a building with 10 apartments, right? And each apartment, the woman or the father in that apartment took a role for everybody in the building. So Mama Hodge, she ironed for everyone. The old time iron you sit on the stove, that cast iron one. The other mothers babysit or cooked. So listening to them talk about, you know, the reasons why they did that, because they had to survive, right? And so another thing that I learned in my community about college students connecting to our community, we had something called a revitalization corps. This man said he was related to the Kennedys. He did look like them, but yeah, once again, we know how white people look alike, a lot alike, right? So what we did was, not only did students come into our community, they lived in our apartments. So they got the full feel of what it was like. You know, and our walls that were, you know, they seen little roaches running around and stuff like that. So they got a opportunity to, I would love to find out where they are today, but they would come and live with us for like a weekend or a week. And then we would go to their schools and stay. Yeah. I think I answered it. Thank you. Well, that's my stories piece.
I definitely think that I was witnessing the action that took place in my community, and that's how I made up the stories about what was happening. And then I checked in with folks about the stories that I was seeing being unveiled. I grew up in the Rockaways in New York City, and I also grew up in the Bedford-Stuyvesant section of Brooklyn, right? That's where my grandparents owned brownstones. And so I would not sit on the stoop because that wasn't something you did in a proper household. But I would be in the yard and listening to folks as they went by and what they were talking about. So I would listen to Freemasons talk about work. I would listen to folks that were engaged in the Black Panther Party talk about, you know, what was going to happen in community, how they were going to feed families, how they were going to get families to vote. Right. My grandfather was a jack of all trades. And so he was right in the mix talking with folks about what they should do, where they should spend their money, what businesses were Black owned and which ones we would continue to support and which ones we would not support because of their politics. And so that's the kind of community that I grew up in. And so I think it was the stories, but it was also watching people and what they actually did, watching people and what they did with their money and how people were being treated and leaning into the feelings that bubbled up, right? Feeling safe, right? Feeling cared for and loved. And so that's how I began to rebuild when I landed here in terms of what kind of community do I want to live in? I want those young people to be loved on. I want them to know what action looks like, what it looks like to stand up for someone else. And that's what I learned within my family, but also within my larger community.
My experience was not so much as the story as it was the different experiences I went through. There was a young lady, I was a teen mom. So we had to, in order to finish my education and finish high school, I had to go to another school called Chestnut. And in that school, there was a program they put together to continue educating us. But there was one woman, her name Phoebe, her name was Miss Brown. And I remember her so well because it was her story of who she was and how she carried herself. It just inspired me. And I never forgot about her. Then I met another Miss Brown who was the dean of my college when I went to community college. And then I ran into Eileen O'Connor, who also inspired me because she worked with the Wise Women's Center. So watching these women grow up, along with the first woman who inspired me was my mom, who was a single mother to 7 girls. So with all of that, I believe those were the seeds that were planted in me. And then with my own personal experience, being a young mother, a young single mom, I was able to start doing this work just purely on passion. And then when we were getting the women together and we told each other our stories, it just made us tighter. It built the camaraderie that we needed to just always stand up for each other. And then we didn't stop there. We moved into the community because there was issues that we all was having at not only as mothers, but as Black women as well. So we started tackling those issues. Then we saw different things going on with our children. So we started tackling those issues. And then we realized that the fathers were excluded, and we know where that come from, separating the families from in Black communities, the fathers are separated. So we extended to Fathers Helping Fathers. So those are the things that inspire me and why this work got started here in Elmira.
Caleb or Monica, do you guys want to jump in on this?
Yeah, well, I started a little bit too fast when I started at the beginning. I wasn't sure, but because I got so fast, I started telling my whole story before anybody started. So I'm sorry about that. I apologize that. I think I have many stories. I have been, you know, I was born in Latin America and Ecuador. I always wanted to be involved with my community. We were, my neighborhood, my grandmother raised me and she taught me so much when I was a kid. She always told me that, the community should be help each other, like everyone have been saying. But for us, it was very important get to know our neighbors, because she says in case anything happened, we knew each other and we can help each other, and that's what we always did. Since I was like 7 years old, I used to walk around in my neighborhood and ask, do you need any help? And sometimes they say, well, you're too little, you can help me. But as I got older, I keep asking. As I got older, they give me too much work. I was always working and doing things for my neighbors. And there was some time where we didn't have enough food. And what we did is we help each other. Like if I have bread, somebody send me cheese, somebody send cheese, and we have something to eat. The same way for the rest of the family, the people around the neighborhood. So I feel like it's so important to be able to get to know people and help each other, you know. And also, I say my other experience that I have, because I work for Ithaca College. Since I would love to be around kids. I started working in different areas, but I was moved to the School of Music, and I got very close with many of the students, and that made me understand more. The students are very important. Sometimes they just need it. Maybe not even most of you. Maybe you need to ask them how are you doing? Is everything okay? Because I know they go through a lot. You know, they have a lot of situation happening in their life, and even if you get to just to talk to them for a minute and asking if they're doing good, is something. That's the way to be, you know, to be exposed to the person. This person get to tell you sometimes if you're going through, and you get to say everything is going to be okay. So I think it's very important. I get to know some of the students. I ended up coming for the whole semester, going to the recitals, doing all kinds of things. Many times I invite them to my house to come on, have a dinner after we finish, to come over and we do. So it's very important to be involved and wanted to be in one as us as a community make welcome the students, and also hopefully the students will feel welcome and wanted to be part of the community and learn more about, you know, what is the situation in the community and how they can help. I know the student has some opportunity where they can write grants for community, things like that. So it's a lot of things we can help with, so we can get, you know, both get things from both sides.
I'd say it's significant for me. So many amazing leaders and community members in Ithaca, and definitely Ms. Phoebe Brown, meeting her when I was 17 or 18 or so, and Susan Roush and Beth Bannister and Audrey Cooper and Roberta Wallet. You know, just so many people thinking about systemic justice, and knocking on the door at Gino Bush's house, and him welcoming me into this movement to change State Street's name to Martin Luther King Jr. Street. And that's where I started thinking about our cultural cityscape and what's going on here, and small successes, and having small successes that create impact, big conversations about what's going on here. What are the problems here? What are the good things here? And where do we want to take this community?
Yeah, thank you so much for your guys' answer. That was so insightful. And I think I was like just struck again by the value of stories. Yeah, just hearing about how these have real impacts in people's lives is so encouraging. And it encourages all of us hopefully to take value in our own steps in our individual lives. And that being said, I know we're coming to a close for the discussion, but if there is one thing that you could say to the next generation of students, what would it be?
I would definitely say ask for more. Student voice is everything, right? So when you're a student, you have the power of your parents, you have the power of alumni behind you. You also have the power of staff and faculty behind you and community. And so I would say ask for more, right? And in our Q&A, John asked the question about, how can we repair and mend the relationship that university has in community? And I think that you can be pushing, right? Don't do semester-long classes where you're working on a project in community. That has no value to community. We don't work on registrar schedules, right? We work on real life schedules, right? So this project might take 2 or 3 years. Where is it in the university curriculum that you can have that span of time? And I know it's possible, right? We just have to reimagine and stretch our imaginations. Now, trust me, in Ithaca, everything is reimagined.
Okay.
When we think about creating opportunities for faculty members to have free housing, why don't we extend those same opportunities to community members, right? So in a lot of these program houses, you have a wonderful faculty person and their family that's living there. We need to also sit at the feet of community members and have those opportunities for stints like that. Students can ask for that. We need to have open access to library collections, right? If you need a Cornell ID, or net ID in order to be able to access those collections, they're of no value or use to community who probably more than likely produce those items, right? That are now being coveted behind gates. And I think reach one, teach one. We have a full high school. I'm committed to working with seniors at our high school in the Ithaca City School District. I've been saying for a number of years now, so long, that if we have one student for every single young person that's within our school district, each of those babies would be reading at a higher level. They'd be performing better, right? And so I want for students to reach one, teach one. Whatever your area of expertise is, offer that up to community, right? Offer that up to the young people that live in this community. And I think that that's the power of students.
Thank you. For me, what I'd like to tell the younger generation, that you have a responsibility to the next 7 generations, right? So anything you do should be working towards better, making sure that the next generation do not have to have it as hard as the previous generation, Also that students, and thank you, Jamila, students have a lot of voices. Students has been the power of change throughout history. Mm-hmm. The whole, whenever there's a change, you can best to believe young people are behind it. Black Lives Movement, the Vietnam War, the Civil Rights Movement, all of these movements start and with intersection of older people, right? And really valuing your ancestors and your elders, right, in your community. Also beginning to push back at the education, like ask your teachers, why don't we have some people from the community up here helping us with this or teaching us this? Why aren't we paying those grassroots organizations to come up and do the work that they've been doing for us for free, right? So when they call us up to do stuff, that little bit of money they give me, Can't buy me no fur coat. You know, and but I think students need to know their power, right?
Mhm.
Their power. Do it differently. Make universities and colleges different than what we experience. In every community, there's a college on the hill. Columbia University was our Achilles heel, who owned everything, who helped gentrification in our community, right? And don't let that continue. That's it.
Well, what I would like to give to the students and the younger generation is to sharpen your humanity skills. With technology, we're so removed from each other that anything can happen and it doesn't even shock us anymore. The most important things you need to know will not be found in a book. You need to step out into community. Allow yourself to get entrenched into the community. I know that the colleges probably tell students they don't recommend you going in certain areas, but find a safe way to go into those areas. Maybe you are the missing link to the solution to solve a lot of those problems, or maybe not, who knows, but you'll never know if you don't step into the community. So again, I would like to say, sharpen your humanity. A lot of things that's taking place is simply because we're not loving on each other as humans. So sharpen your humanity skills. You'll get a whole lot further in life. The book knowledge will always be there. The book knowledge, you can always pick up a book and go back to it. But life happens once. So step into it.
Mhm. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm thinking about us on the edge of a potential sixth large extinction that this planet has ever seen, and it's the fastest one that this planet has ever seen, where species are going extinct, and we could be next. And thinking about climate chaos and what do people want for this future, and what that speaks to is about an environmental justice, but everything to get there is about social justice. It's about people having the right to vote, feeling a sense of ability in community, for people to be able to own their own homes instead of renting, to have businesses, to live joyful lives. That people deserve, that the students, young people, everyone deserve joyful lives. And that's something worth fighting for. That the apathy kills. And it makes sense for us. I can speak to Europeans. For me as a European, I can speak to Europeans that apathy kills, that we can't, that people have to choose justice. People can't just if we do nothing, the system perpetuates itself, and the oppressions that are going on today, we've got to take responsibility for it. And I guess the last thing is together we are strong, that connect with each other, think of something that needs change and do it together.
I'd like to see them work on reparations for Black people, because we're not going to be good nowhere until Black people are good. Climate change don't mean much when you're Black in America. Sorry, y'all. Couldn't help myself.
Monica, did you want to add to that?
Yes, I just wanted to say that what we're saying as a community, we wanted to encourage the young people for the new generation. And as you are in the middle, kind of the middle way, because you already went through the being elementary student, middle school. Now it will be very important for you to be example for the generation they're coming. The new kids are coming, so continue supporting if you can. Encourage this group of new kids. They're ready to go. They don't know yet because they're still young. They don't know what they're gonna do. So be example of if you can get to go sometime to school and say, we are in college. we would like you to be going to college. Where do you want to be? Encouraging, talking about, education. Education is important. It's important for you. Things like that. You know what I mean? So we want to, because for what I hear, there's a lot of students that don't want to continue high school. They just don't know what to do. They kind of lost. But you as example, they're already in college. It will be a good example that you can go sometime to schools and talk about, what do you study? How do you know what's your major? What do you do? Why did you choose to study this? Things like that, I think. I mean, that's how I feel like.
And the last thing that I'll say is that I want students to know that there's love in this work, right? There's a radical love that's in this work. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. And also that there has to be self-care in this work, right? When you need to take a break, lay down, honey, lay
Yes.
down, right? And wait for the next person to pick up the baton and keep moving. And when you're ready, come back to the work.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you so much to everyone who participated today. Like, I think that truly this discussion alone has shown us that impact is not top down. Oftentimes it's bottom up, and it starts at the ground, right? Like how we act as individuals in our societies and our groups and our personal relationships. And I think that's been one of the biggest things that I took away from just working with you all. So thank you so much for this fruitful discussion. I did want to turn very quickly to the Q&A. I do think that we had, I think Jamila, you answered this in your like final comments, but Phoebe, I was wondering if you wanted to take this on about how we might start repairing the damage of the history of knowledge extraction. John asked.
Okay, for one, beginning to do more of the work that we've done with telling our stories, right? I think that would be a really big start, right? But how do we sell it to educators? How do we begin to help people to understand the importance, the true importance of community leaders, and not even just leaders? Because a lot, when we say leaders, people got to do a certain something, but there are some powerful, amazing people that I sit on the phone that don't have that I'm as Cornell Civic Fellows, right? So I think it's changing the switch, right? Of acknowledging the importance of education don't start at universities and colleges. It starts in communities. I grew up in a community that I could walk down the block and there's the Black Panther Party office. I could go downstairs, there was the Yoruba office. I can go on Lenox Avenue, was the Black Muslims, So the importance of learning that, how important it is for, I'm not certified, and I'm gonna stick this in there because I got to do this, but I got a PhD in streetology, a good one too, right? You know what I mean? And so I think for us to start kind of honoring and respecting community as not just a few leaders, but also as educators. I don't know if that answered it. And beginning to allow and encourage our students to come off the hill, not in your fourth year, in your freshman year, to also begin some programs. They send out our students all the way out to other countries and foster them in different homes. See if we could do that here in Ithaca. That would help some families who aren't financially set, that could use house a student and get paid, right? So those kind of things. And reparations, power to the people.
Yeah, I think that brings up our next question. It's a good segue from Matt. I know we're a little low on time, but I do think this is something that's important. He asks if you all believe that mandatory community engagement for Cornell students would contribute to Cornell's connection to the Ithaca community, or should engagement be more natural?
We should get paid for being engaged. But anyway, no, I agree.
I think it should. I think they should be volunteer. Encouragement to students to be volunteer, because mandatories will feel like some kids really don't want to do it, and they will feel obligated, and they won't want to do a work because they wanted to do it, but because they are obligated. But if they wanted to really do it, there's being encouragement at the university, saying, you know, it's important to you get down and get information, find out about it, how you can help, what you can do for the community, with the community. That would be great.
Yeah, I agree. I would want for there to be synergy. As much as I don't like being vulnerable to do something, I think that there is an opportunity for us to be able to get people on a voluntary basis to be able to move forward and use their talents and abilities in areas that they see fit. And I think that there's a role that the university has in making those connections and helping that synergy to exist.
Yeah, mandates doesn't do too well in this type of work. It really has to come from within. You'll get better work out of students if they're doing it on their own. But the colleges could encourage the students by this type of opportunity being there to, to that they can explore and see what's happening and choose to be a part of it. I think that will help a lot, but mandates doesn't work well in this type of work.
I'm thinking about how here we are on Gayacono land, what's commonly referred to as Cuba land, and in the model out in California where there's a optional like land tax, that there's organizations that are collecting money to redistribute, for people that live there, in California, to pay into an organization, and that organization gets money to the indigenous people of the land. And I would like to see that here, but I think it's right now it's voluntary, and I think that's a good transition. Until we have land tax that goes to Gayacono, I think I would love to see that here, and reparations here as a volunteer situation. I think setting those situations up until but not to wait for our government, not to wait for Cornell to do it, but for students to can take that set up situations where they take that power to do that.
Can I just say one more thing and I'll stop? I just need to say that there need to be, for the Civics Fellows, Cornell Civics Fellows, they need to really probably make sure that this stays in place. What becoming a fellows did for me, it brings me to tears many times because it made me feel important and special. So I'm really grateful for becoming a Civics Fellow. I knew I was great before that and cute and all that, but becoming a Civics Fellow really helped my self-esteem. So I want to thank all the people who come together to make sure it continue. Yeah, really do. So I think this is a way that can continue to bring bright minds to Cornell. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, wow, that was so powerful. Thank you so much, everyone. I do want to just reiterate our thanks to you for sharing your stories, for inspiring us. I know I certainly learned so much, and I think I can speak for every student who took this course and just worked with you guys, because it's beyond just what we did here. Like, our stories and your stories continue and our work continues. So I'm just looking forward to a society where that kind of work is just really implemented. And I definitely do see a bright future for us. So I do want to say thank you so much for everyone involved in this book. I do know that I think the physical copy is going to be made available in the fall, I believe. But as of now, there is a digital copy that has been published. Thank you so much to our professor, Dr. Peters, to Amy, to everyone who just really just spent years and years putting this together. And of course, just thank you so much again to you guys, to the people who haven't been able to come today, but their voices are still heard in this book. It's been so honoring for me to hear about your life. So thank you so much. And I do believe that the contact information is available to everyone. But yes, so thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. I know Thursday afternoon, it's hard timing, but thank you so much for all your work.
Thank you.
Oh, Monica, did you want to say something real quick?
Yes, I wanted to thank you everyone for putting your time, for your energy, for your thoughts about helping us put in this book. And also, I just wanted to tell you good luck with your exam if you guys are going to, soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, Sarah or Kelly, how should we end this?
I think we should end it with each one of the panelists saying a word that they will take away from all of the work that we did. No, one word, and my word is joy.
Mine is love.
Mine is power.
Mine is Sankofa.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. That was so powerful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Phoebe, I agree. Reformations. Just wanted you to know.
Okay. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye, guys. Have a good one.
And goodbye.